I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Lance Velchuk here for Arrow on the Head's The F***ing Black Sheep, where we take a look at the opposing opinion of the genre's most divisive films. With the release of the Belko Experiment, we get back to the Battle Royale survival subgenre, with the social experiment aspect of Cube. We get this great mashup courtesy of director Greg McLean, whose genre favorites Wolf Creek and Wolf Creek 2 helped get the Aussies a major horror character. We also get the great writing of James Gunn, who did the fan favorite Slither, the Dawn of the Dead remake, which still stands as one of the better remakes in my humble opinion, and both Guardian of the Galaxy films. I'm excited that these two came together for a unique horror film that's not a sequel or a remake. And speaking of remakes, a quick look down IMDb memory lane, I see that James Gunn was an uncredited writer in the 13 Ghost Remake, the 2001 haunted house film that starred Matthew Lillard, Shannon Elizabeth, and Antonio Scarpacci himself, Tony Shalhoub. This film was shit on by critics, fans, and was cast out to the wastelands of the forgotten horror films. Is 13 Ghosts the bastard film and the black sheep that everyone claims it to be? I think not. We start off in a haunted junkyard with ghost collector and enthusiast Cyrus, played by F. Murray Abraham, hunting the final ghost for his collection. This point sets the rest of the film into action and gives us all the key information we'll need going forward. The movie starts off in the most over-the-top way. We have the armed ghost hunters, the crazy windstorm, and a tanker truck full of blood. It's amazing. From here we meet the broken family, headed by Jack Jeebs himself, and are surprised to learn that they will inherit their deceased uncle's creepy mansion. It's an old-school setup, because this is a remake of an old-school film. Once we get to the mansion, the main story thread kicks in. The family, along with Matthew Lillard, gets trapped in the house as the ghosts are set free. We do get some cool practical effects, with the death of the lawyer, and we get some tense moments with the ghosts causing havoc throughout. This is the main strength of the film. It's wham bam thank you ma'am the whole way through. We get enough motivation from each character. Cyrus wants godlike powers, Tony Shalhoub wants to take care of his family, and a knowing nanny, and Matthew Lillard wants to atone for being responsible for most of the mess. It's not Shawshank-level motivation and character development, but it gives you enough reason to care, at least a little. The glass mansion acts as a prison for the ghosts, and doubles as an ancient machine. The trapped ghosts are used to power the house and gives the owner the power to master time, seeing the past and the future. They actually set up a very convincing and interesting story here. The house is made up of giant glass panes that move and set up the machine's true purpose. It's an ever-changing maze with murderous ghosts on the loose. What essentially is a fun ghost film is somewhat layered with the reveal of the true nature of this house. The set design alone is worth the 90 minutes here. The single best goddamn part of this movie are the ghosts. You may think, of course, but who's to say? After seeing Logan, can we not agree that the unsung hero of that masterpiece was Patrick Stewart?
Younger old, only one meal and hardly any sleep. She's 11, I'm fucking 19.
Hugh Jackman was amazing, but Patrick Stewart. I'm just saying, you never know. But the ghosts here are fantastic. And if this film came out a few years later, we'd probably be treated to CGI glow sticks instead of actual human beings. Not only do they use practical makeup, but they use innovative techniques to film the ghosts. They light them with a cold white light, and they add a water-like reflection to them. Though not developed in the film, these ghosts are fleshed out with detailed and intricate backstories. Some of these stories could be movies of their own, and actually rival the movie they're in. The Jackal is a 19th century man who was committed to an insane asylum for attacking hookers. After going insane, a metal cage was placed around his head for protection, and he eventually died when the asylum caught fire. Knowing this adds a lot of weight to what was seen as just a creepy ghost. For example, the Hammer was a blacksmith who avenged the death of his family. He was murdered by the townsfolk by driving railroad spikes through his body. These backstories are rich, and it's a shame that they couldn't have been worked into the film. Another interesting, if not the most miscalculated part of this film, is the family. I'm surprised that Tony Shalhoub was cast as the main character. It's so weird to watch now, 16 years later, that he was the driving force of this movie. Hell, even back then it was weird. Late 90s, early 2000s had Josh Hartnett, Jared Leto, Jennifer Love Hewitt, and Neve Campbell leading the way. Even if the father character was the story's motivation, he'd be paired up with a younger, hotter kid. I respect that they wanted someone older to lead the film, but Antonia Scarpacci was a weird choice. They put in Shannon Elizabeth as his daughter, which makes sense as she was coming off her American Pie peak, but is surprisingly subdued here, and disappears in the second act. The best non-ghost part goes to Matthew Lillard, a staple of the time. He comes off bouncy and energetic, which fits the style and tone of the film. I know that he's a love-hate actor, and I understand that not everyone grew up with Scream, but he always seems lively, like he's having fun, and I also hear he's a decent guy. With the horror boom of the late 90s, Dark Castle Entertainment was formed with the original intent of updating William Castle's work for the 21st century. But the weak showing of House on Haunted Hill put a lot of pressure on 13 Ghosts, and 13 Ghosts didn't perform well. Dark Castle Entertainment survived with a more open branding, with a heavier dose of action. They eventually put out Gateway, Unknown, and Bullet to the Head. They left Matthew Lillard and Splinter in the past to be forgotten. I believe, as flawed as this film is, it accomplished its main goal, to entertain, and I have and will always love this film, scars and all. This may be controversial, and I'd love to debate it in the comments, but please, every now and then take a drink and just have some dumb fun. I'm convinced more and more that nowadays, some people just don't know how to have a good time.